All right, I'm Aesia Toliver. Thank you so much for joining us for part 2 of talking to Cameron Bertrand for Inside the Investigation. Last time we spoke about an incident where he was shot, the investigation there that unfolded, and how scary it was, a robbery gone wrong, essentially. And now, that was how many years ago? That was 23, right?
Yeah, so it's crazy. November 7th, like 10 years.
10 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
Okay. And you've done a lot in the
decade.
past 10 years.
Nah, for sure.
So that's where I want to talk about on part 2, because not only the incident, but the effect.
Yeah.
And you've done a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, so over time, I started calling November 7th my rebirth day. So like early on, when I got shot, you know, having to relearn how to walk again, like reacclimate myself to just everyday life. Like going back out into the neighborhoods, onto the communities that I'm in, where it's shootings happen every day, right? And having to perceive threats that are legitimate, but also rationalize and distinguish between, okay, what is something I can still de-escalate, and where do I have to now go kick in my fight or flight mode? And that's where the work changed for me, because I started walking through, I went from one end of the spectrum to the other, where I started feeling like, why me? How did this happen to me? And then you go to the other end of the spectrum where it's like, why not me? And I was obviously kept here for a reason. And the survivor's remorse was in between that. So now being a survivor, I went from that transition where I only identified as a victim because of what I couldn't do and because of the help that I didn't receive, right? So I remember when I got shot, me and my best friend was in the hospital, and after I got discharged, I remember my aunt, she was working with the police department at that time. And she was asking me, she was like, yo, did you sign up for your victim services and victim compensation, things like that? Never heard of it.
Right.
Never heard of it. So I'm like,
about it.
yo, what you talking about, auntie? She like, nah, like you supposed to be able to be eligible for compensation, loss of wages, if you need to be relocated, if you need mental health support, medical bills, all these things. Because if y'all don't know, an ambulance ride from
Arm and a leg.
Norfolk State to Norfolk General, the most expensive ride I ever took. No lie. And I remember seeing these bills coming to my crib, and I'm like, how am I being charged for something that, for one, I never asked for, and two, something that there are resources for, and they don't create the advocates in between that. But then I found out that there are. So a lot of work that I do now was becoming a survivor-led, trauma-informed, evidence-based, outcome-driven advocate for everything that I've experienced. And I had to really start seeing it for what it was. Like, if these things didn't happen to me, I may have learned they exist, but it wouldn't have been as
it wouldn't have exposed the loopholes and all the things that were.
And these are for the services that we provide. So I launched V.I.P in 2019.
Explain to the people what that is.
V.I.P, Violence Intervention and Prevention, for very important people, because we all should feel as such. I didn't feel important at all the night I got shot.
Right.
People saw things on the ground, left us there. We didn't get the services and the support and the things, and it took people who had to come in and step in. So I wanted to make sure that anybody impacted by any type of violence or crime, make sure that they got the services and support they needed, whether that's through mentorship, counseling, advocacy, wraparound services, mutual aid. So our mission is to impact youth and adults that are currently suffering from or at risk of violence and trauma, and cultivate a life-changing perception of success and community responsibility. These are important because the perception of success for a lot of people in America, we're raised to know that being successful is being able to put food on the table, clothes on your family's back, and a roof over their head. There's plenty of people that's doing that on the block right now, but it's not socially accepted. These are means that are not socially accepted, they're not legal. And in the social construct we live in, the means don't always justify the ends, which means that we have a lot of people who don't have access to the same amount of resources. Yes, they have to utilize their decision-making when it comes to the day-to-day life, but what are we seeing people be exposed to more prevalently in at-risk communities? And why is it that people have to travel so far to get adequate resources and education and mental health support and the things that we need people to be exposed to every single day? And these are the things that I was seeing as qualitative feedback as a social scientist. I went to school at Christopher Newport University. So I went to a PWI where I'm the only black student in every classroom.
Hey, PWI.
You know what I'm saying? And I felt like it was my job to be not only an advocate, but to take the information that I was receiving and take it back to the communities that would never receive it.
Sure.
Early on, I was taught if you wanted to hide something from the Black community, put it in a book. You ever heard that before?
I hadn't heard that one, but
So that was the things that being in the school and being where I felt like I didn't belong, and I couldn't keep up with the academic workload, and I'm enlisted in the Army, I'm in ROTC, I'm playing football, doing all these things just to stay inside this social construct that wasn't created for me, right? So I took that lens and transformed that into a lot of the work that I'm doing now. And I remember having to make that decision. Contrary to belief, and I've said this to my parents, I've said this to my friends, I've said this to my family, like contrary to belief, the night I got shot, it wasn't that I didn't want to retaliate. It wasn't I didn't know how to retaliate. And it wasn't that I didn't have a decision to make that day, but I knew for me that the worst thing I could ever do is start a war that I'm not around to finish because I'm dead or in jail.
Yeah.
And people get this twisted all the time where they have this ideology or perception of people who are involved in violence. I'm like, do people not realize that the interactions we have could literally be the start of somebody becoming an advocate or becoming a straight up villain?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that was the things that I had to make a decision based on what I wanted for myself and for the people that I truly care about. And
Right.
then,
So you're sitting, I mean, obviously you're angry. There's some form of anger, right? You're now injured. You've got plenty of health problems. You've got mounting bills.
Right.
You know, how did you manage that anger and turn that trauma into resolve like you have?
I didn't. I went to, it took counseling, it took therapy, it took my village, it took healing. And these are things I'm still doing, right? Like these are things, it's been 10 years, so there's no time limit. And that's the thing, that becoming a trauma-informed advocate was what changed my lens, not only for myself, but for the people I was interacting with. And knowing like, okay, if I don't educate people on the same things that trigger me and frustrate me, then how can I expect to change? And then not only educating people, but being that representation. So it was just the little things of me stepping out when I was on crutches and interacting with people, and then people come up to me like, oh, what you do to yourself? Like, I didn't do nothing, I got shot. Like trying to guilt them into like, why you even ask me that dumb question? But in the same time, like they're not trauma informed in that lens. So I became a trauma informed advocate, and in the programs that we implement, even at a very early age, with all the schools that we work with, we work in over 20 different schools in Hampton Roads alone. But everywhere we go, we represent and we show people like these are the programs that we want to see for our young people, but also the services that we can provide for their parents too. Because if you don't create a wraparound, that means the people that you're trying to help may not be able to internalize the help due to the environment they're going home to. And that's a big part of what we do, is making sure that everybody feels important in the communities they live in, the communities they come from, and the communities they have to travel through.
Do you remember the first time you intervened with another child or, you know, young adult and convinced them, or was able to tell your story in such a way that it shifted things for them? Like, do you remember the first time that it was like, okay, that light bulb went off and you were like, you know what? I can make a real big difference right now.
Yeah. Shout out to Dresden Drive, the Hot Block, Newport News. I love y'all. We don't call it that no more because we changed a lot of stuff out there. You feel me?
It's no longer the Hot Block. What is it?
But it's Dresden. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? For a lot of my kids, they might call it Bertrand Drive now. I don't know. There's a lot of work that has been done out there. And we've done a lot of work to buy back the block in Dresden, for real. And so I remember coming back to that neighborhood. That was the first place that I went to after I got shot. I was supposed to be on bed rest still. And the Boys and Girls Club I was working at, I found out that I got broken into. And it frustrated me the most because even at that time, I understood what neighborhood we was in and environment we was in, but I still couldn't get past the fact that we have people stealing from kids. That's all I'm thinking about. Yeah. Like, you ain't gangster for that. You stealing from kids. You know where this stuff goes to, right? So I remember coming out there on my crutches and I'm cleaning out the club and I'm da-da-da and all this stuff. And I remember the kids that were from the Hot Block, like whether they was involved or not, came and helped me. Like they seen me up there, da-da-da-da, and they knew what happened. So I remember them looking at me and just being like, yo, this dude not even from here. He don't even live out here, and he's still out here on crutches. Right. And I remember not only telling that story, but letting them know how personal this was to me. And I was like, if y'all can't see, and if y'all got somebody that's not from your hood that care about it more than you do, don't come up here acting like that you mad when somebody diss your block or no, you know what I'm saying? Like you care about the wrong stuff. And for me, it was one thing to be mad or to chastise them for it, but to actually stand 10 toes with them and be like, whether y'all help me or not, I'm gonna take care of your neighborhood better than you do.
Well,
and put
it's
that
right.
battery
It's
in
the
their back.
pride you take in it. It's like the trash analogy, right? Like if you're on a neighborhood street, you drop a piece of trash, just one, you don't pick it up, you leave it out there. The next person that comes by, if they drop a piece of trash, they're more likely to leave it because they see the other piece of trash left there, right? And it just, next thing you know, a year later, there's trash all over the neighborhood because one person decided not to pick it up.
And I think that can apply to like people too, right? You know what I'm saying? People aren't trash, but we have some trash mindsets when it comes to some things that we do and the behavior that we condone. And that's why I was really just holding them accountable, even at a young age. You're not too young to be a support to your peers and to be representation. And I think for me, I was asking them to trust me with what I'm doing because I trust y'all when it comes to what I'm doing here. I can't be an advocate in your community without your leadership. I can't come into any neighborhood and just take over and say, this is what we're going to do. Because the same thing that we experience at the higher level, like I said, going to a PWI and learning what systems and how we were able to not only abolish these systems, but reform and change a lot of the work that we're still working to change each and every day. So I never wanted to come in just because I'm Black doesn't mean that I can't be controlling or be, insensitive to what people are experiencing. So I had to make sure that the qualitative feedback that we get in every single community, that's what I learned as a social scientist. I could take what people have asked for and what people have prioritized and utilize that to make sure that we build a mission to not only change our communities, but to build succession. And that's
so
been my main
how do you
goal.
gauge success in your program, right? Is it seeing lower violence levels in certain neighborhoods? Is it just community feedback? How are you judging 100%? Like,
honestly,
you've made an impact.
There's so many factors that come into that. So the way that we judge our program, I was able to sit down with some people that I went to school with, some professors and different things, and then we created a qualitative survey. And these are things that when we interact with our young people, we ask them certain questions like, how safe do you feel when you're in these programs? And we do a lot of programs in their neighborhoods, right? But then we also ask them questions, how safe do you feel when you're in your neighborhood versus in this program, or when you're walking home, or when you're in school, or how safe do you feel with the staff that you're working with every day? Do you feel like they believe in you? Do you feel like they uplift you? Do you feel like you've been able to come into this program and create tangible change? Whether that's through service projects, whether that's through policy change, whether that's through talking to an elected official who lives in your district, whether that's going to a partnership meeting at their schools. We pop up on them at lunch. We go, wherever it's, but we also support the parents too. So we gauge that success by the impact that we're getting back from the people that we not only survey, but as we track them into adulthood, right? So I can actually go to Norfolk State homecoming, and I got over 50 kids that I used to mentor when they was in elementary school, and they're students now. And now they intern with me. But I also got students who graduated from Norfolk State. Shout out to Helena Thomas. She ain't got no debt. You know what I'm saying? Graduated debt-free and is doing big things now. Like, and that's the proof. Like, I could go into most any school and I see a kid that I know because I helped raise their sibling or because their parents knew, like that's the proof. Like, that's the proof. And so that's the real proof. But obviously we work within a world where funding takes numbers, right? So a lot of times we take that qualitative feedback and turn it into quantitative data where we can say that we have X amount of people and X amount of programs during X amount of hours a week. And every single time they've been in our service or care, they have not been involved in any violence or crime. That's how you simplify it.
And I mean, talk a little bit about, because I know we've done a news story with you on this as well, because now it's not even what's happening, in the neighborhoods per se, even at school, at the school bus stop, places where as a child, I never looked over my shoulder. Now the kids are terrified because people are getting shot up as they're waiting to go to school.
I wanna put this out there because I've felt very obligated to do so because I didn't realize it's become normalized to a lot of people who do the work that I do in the community and in the neighborhoods that we're in. But there's a lot of things that's happening that's become so normalized for even at the kids. So if I say trading, like trading for you, like trade for trade, does that mean anything to you? The word trade for trade.
Mm-mm.
These young people will go on social media. They will go on Instagram. They will go wherever, and they will post trade for trade, link for link, whatever. And they're talking about guns. And the crazy part is, I think people have to really get into the psyche of a person that is comfortable with linking with a stranger to trade a gun. Yes, the bus stop shootings are killing us. The violence is killing us, but the psyche of young people that are comfortable enough taking certain risks and not others, you rather risk your life to go trade up for a gun that you probably won't use just to post so that people won't bother you. That's what I'm saying. I'm not even blaming them, half of them. Some of these kids are so terrified, they feel like if they got a gun big enough, people won't mess with me. It's not how it works because you can get robbed for it. These are things we keep seeing, right? But the psyche of a person that's comfortable enough to do this and not to take these risks, but they won't take the risk to go start a business. They won't take a risk to go and to apply for a school that might deny them. And these are the things that I'm like, do we see how badly, deeply rooted this trauma is to where some of our young people, maybe they just believe they won't live long enough. They won't live long enough to face the consequences for some of these stupid decisions that they're making. And they're not stupid people at all. We have met the most brilliant and fearless generation that we have seen today. We have met the most brilliant and fearless generation that we have ever seen. And if we harness that, I promise you we'll be fine.
And flip it.
But there's so many people who have forgotten where they came from and what it took for them to get to where they're at, to change their psyche and to shift their paradigm and their environment to get to where they can actually focus on future incentive and future reward. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it talks about it. So these are the things where I'm like, I could talk this all day and I could create the data to show what our young people are going through. But for them, they don't identify with anything we're talking about right now. Mr. Cam, I'm trying to make it to the crib. Mr. Cam, I got kids who were straight A students, and then they sibling or their cousin did something stupid, and then the cousin got locked up, so the people who was trying to spin back on that person can't get to that person. So now they running down on the kids that's getting an education. That's not wasn't even involved. So these are kids who are hopping into the streets because now they're like, I'm just trying to make sure my little sister get home. I'm trying to make sure they stop shooting my mama house. Like, I got those circumstances.
It's a game of survival for them.
Right. And so that's what we focus on, bringing in. I'm doing a national training tomorrow here in Norfolk, bringing our partners from Atlanta and Cali and other places and focusing on best practices. I don't have all the answers, but I will never stop trying to find them.
Right.
I don't have all the answers, but I've never been outworked when it comes to finding and seeking those solutions. I would travel wherever I got to go, volunteer wherever I have to volunteer, and get the information to make sure I can bring it back to the communities that we all call home. I wasn't even born in the 7-5, but this is so personal to me because it's home. You live here. Y'all live here. My parents live here. What I look like walking past things that I actually have the intellectual property to change something about.
Well, and let's talk about therapy and, Black men especially, and not feeling like they need therapy or it being such a foreign concept. And how can someone who is interested get access to some resources like that?
I mean, I think it takes the interactions. And so obviously, unfortunately, a lot of people know this. It's really hard to find Black male therapists, first off.
Yeah.
It's really hard. It's really, really hard. And we're looking at now insurance and Medicaid and different things going away so people can't afford therapy out of pocket, right? So there is the element of people who don't want to go to therapy. And I think that also comes from this deeply rooted trauma of like it being a foreign concept and not being introduced to people in a way that is helpful, but also it's hard to sit down in front of somebody you don't identify with, right? Or you
Look,
don't have
I permanently sought out a Black female therapist.
Yeah.
And that was important to me because I needed somebody who has been in my shoes in different situations to really understand where I'm coming from. And that was crucial to me.
Yeah.
So I totally understand talking to someone who looks like you, who's had to move similar to you. So
yeah, and shout out to you for sharing. That's why I always appreciate everything that you do and how you're transparent about a lot that you do. You do your wellness, like I said before. You do your wellness checks, you checking on people on socials, like that means something. But I remember my first time going to therapy after I got shot, and it was a older white woman, and I remember talking to her. She was just so fascinated.
what you mean?
She was so fascinated by everything I was telling her. Like, yo,
Like she just couldn't even comprehend
oh my goodness,
helping you because she was getting over just the
I'm
narrative.
like, shorty, this is not a BT movie. Like, this is my real life. You feel what I'm saying? And
it's no fault of hers. It's just some things you can't speak to if you've never even seen it.
yeah, facts. And I think that was where like I almost didn't go back. I was like, nah, like this ain't
hard.
it. I can't do this right now. And then I went through another space where, because I'm a licensed counselor and all the work that I do, because I know so much terminology, I know how to articulate, and I'm emotionally intelligent to an extent, because trust and believe, y'all, I am working through a lot still.
Yeah,
But
we all are.
you feel me? But at the end of the day, I got to a certain level where I could articulate certain things. And then so they would kind of like cut corners on me, like, oh, you know this stuff already. You know this stuff already. I'm like, nah. Like, treat me like, you know, like I said, it's my rebirth day. So right now, some days.
Starting at ground zero.
You feel me? Some days I feel like I'm 34. Some days I feel like I'm 10. It'll be my 10th rebirth day. And that's why I said, like, in certain ways, like we talk about your cognitive abilities and different things that can kind of get reset when it comes to that. So yeah, it took a lot of time, but I think those interactions, to answer your question, like, are really important. Like, if we don't have, and then so I have some really good friends around me, like my brothers and my brothers that are in therapy, that they talk about it, they're transparent about it.
Yeah.
Like my brother Dorian, that was with me when I got shot, like he go to therapy like religiously, you know what I'm saying? And that's my dog. And I think that there's certain things that men will take certain safe spaces we have and utilize that as therapy. And I think that's important too.
Barbershop
is a good analogy. For sure, but then you gotta think about, you know what I'm saying, the toxic masculinity that come with that, because a lot of dudes ain't did their own healing, so they be splitting out information,
trying to give advice, and
they not there yet. You know what I mean?
Well, and I think there's a misconception too. I think a lot of times people think of therapy sessions as something where you're just venting and they're just like, oh, it's okay, you're gonna be fine. And it's like, no, they help you figure out, okay, this is how you can help cope. Like, this is step 1 if you find yourself in this situation. This is step 2, you know, write this out. And, you know, I think one thing I had to learn was just because you think it doesn't make it real. And so figuring out how to navigate through like those negative thoughts, but then finding coping strategies to be like, you know what, just because I feel it doesn't make it reality. That's
why you're a real one. I'm telling you, I got one for you. Because you just saying it just made me remember the best analogy that I ever heard with therapy. And it was something like, when you go to therapy, they're not teaching you everything that you're supposed to be doing. They're helping coach you through it, like you just said, right? So imagine a boxer in the ring. You're the boxer, right? So you're the boxer, you're in the ring, and in between rounds, what happens? You go over to your ring, to your corner, and your coach tells you what he sees, what he didn't see, what you should be doing, right? And you go back in the ring, you either apply it or you get knocked on your butt. But you get back up, you go back to that corner, and you get coached up. And that's what therapy does. It allows you in between rounds, you shooting your fair one, is letting you get a chance to get some coaching, to let them know what they see, what they don't see, whether that's through shadow work, whether that's through like any type of direct train. Like, these are the things that people have to utilize, right? But if you don't, it doesn't work. And then if you don't apply it, it doesn't just magically seep in. So I think that's the best analogy I ever heard when it came to therapy. And for a lot of people who are thinking about doing it, I just tell people, like, yo, it's not the end all be all. It's just a way to help you navigate and give you a blueprint. So with some of the programs that we work with families that.
Hold on that note, we're going to be right back? Nope, we're wrapping up. Oh my gosh, it's time to wrap it up. Is there anything else you want to say about your journey? I feel like we could talk for hours because you have so much. But
I will say, I really want to thank everybody, for people who have met me in these past 34 years of life, but especially the 10 years of this journey. and what I have taken leaps of faith to do and followed and been uplifted and really learned from people who have been through and navigated these spaces, I would not be doing what I'm doing without y'all. I'm super grateful. And the fact that we've been able to spread VIP and Buy Back the Block into 8 different states across the country now, and the fact that I get to travel and do what I do and I'm called to these spaces each and every month, it's a blessing. And I'm thankful to be here to do what I do, and I would not be here without y'all. And then I get to carry a lot of guardian angels with me. I believe that's what keeps me going. Unfortunately, like I said, I've told a lot of people I've probably lost a mentee almost every month for as long as I can remember. And that starts to get to you. But I think that the work that we're doing and the way that I honor them is by keep going each and every day, day by day, brick by brick. So I appreciate y'all for always being here and for just being the positive change that we need to see, because anybody coming to save us, it's us.
Well, thank you for all the work that you do for the community
Thank
and
you,
for
Queen.
coming on the podcast Inside the Investigation. And that wraps things up with Cameron Bertrand.